What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021 and my team career mode for round 10 the Belgian Grand Prix. We start this one off with a durability department event. Got a little bit of an event here. We're going to accept this one, which is going to give Lundgaard a little bit less racecraft, but it is going to help us with some durability upgrades. Now we're going to have to have a grid penalty for this race because we need another control electronics after it blew up last time. So I believe it's the control electronics anyway that we will be switching out. It's either that or the energy store, but one of them we're going to need a changeover for the race and for qualifying. So we will be getting a grid penalty this race. Not a whole lot of room at the moment for activities. We go into R&D and we get a few parts through, a chassis upgrade there and put a new chassis upgrade on. We then get a bit more time for activities as there was like a season break in between. This is where the cars are so far. We're kind of pulling away from Williams and Haas a bit, but they're kind of also following us through, so we're still kind of in that spot between Williams and Haas and Alfa Romeo ahead. And Alfa Romeo are kind of right there with AlphaTauri now, so it's an interesting battle. Now into Q1, so this is Spa-Francorchamps, which is a great track. I love this track so much. It's so awesome. You've got this massive straight section, then the massive straight at the end. Well, it's not really straight, but the massive, very quick part at the end of the lap as well. And then you've got quite a lot of tight and twisty stuff in between like this. So I really do like this track. I think it's a really good track. I do quite enjoy it. First time I've driven it on this game so far. So yeah, I was looking forward to seeing what I could do here. Now, of course, I would be getting a 10-second grid penalty here because of changing I believe it was the control electronics over. However, I thought, there's no point of just not doing qualifying. I might as well still do qualifying. I mean, 10-second grid penalty, it means that realistically I'd have to get, what is that, 11th place would get me, well, depending on other people's grid penalties, 11th place would, strictly speaking, get me 21st place. So if I got anything worse than, well, 12th, really, it wasn't benefiting from me for qualifying, but I was still going to give it a shot. And, first lap that we did, we're in P13, and we're going quite a bit quicker this lap in Q1, so I was actually thinking maybe we can get through to Q2 here. It's definitely a possibility. It's going to be a little bit annoying if I finally get through to Q2 again and have a good lap once it's not actually going to count because we're getting a grid penalty, but we go across the line. It's P10 at the moment. When that comes around, we're actually P13. That is our best result in a qualifying session so far, so we're quite easily through to Q2 here. Our teammate Lundgaard, unfortunately, is in P20. He only beats a Haas and a Williams, so he's not through to Q2. But yeah, it's great from us. So on to our Q2 lap. For future, I might actually start, when I do get through to Q2 and when I eventually start getting through to Q3, I'm not going to be showing all of the laps. I will cut them up, but this will probably be the last video where you'll see a full lap. If I'm only in Q1, I probably will still show a full lap, but if I get through to Q2 or Q3, I'll probably just start cutting out the laps a little bit because you don't need to see 3 full qualifying laps. But yeah, Q2 was going pretty well as well. A little bit wide out of that twisty section there, so not so great. Don't think this lap was quite as good as my Q1 lap. As we get a little bit scarce around there, it's not too bad, but we're just running a little bit wide in places and getting the back end out a little bit, which just isn't helping too much. As you can see, we're in 16th at the moment. We haven't done a lap yet. Basically in Q1, at least at the moment, I'm doing like 2 runs in Q1 with 2 sets of tires, and then for Q2 I'm really only doing 1 run because I only have like 1 other set of softs to use for Q2, and I'm just like simulating towards the end of the session and then doing it, because otherwise you do it at the start of the session, your tires are knackered then and you don't have time to improve for the end. So I just kind of go for 2 or 3 laps at the end of the run. So we're coming towards the end here for our first and fastest lap of Q2, and I think it's a pretty similar lap that I did from what I did in Q1, fairly similar on pace, and it puts us into P14. There are still laps to go. However, with that all being said, We end up finishing in P15, so it's actually our best qualifying result so far, but the grid penalty is going to make sure we're probably at the back of the grid for the race.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan-favourite circuit. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Gasly and Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen and Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, Ocon, Mick Schumacher and George Russell, Lundgaard, Mazepin, Latifi and Shaw. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Alright, so we're here, we're in P22 because of our grid penalty. Although we did qualify in P15, it's our best qualifying result of the season so far. To 5 red lights, and away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. We get a really good run on Mazepin off the line, go round the outside of him into turn 1. It's a bit of a bottleneck into turn 1 though, there's cars absolutely everywhere. It's a very, very tight turn 1, and Latifi actually manages to get his way through. We've only made up the 1 position on Mazepin now, as yeah, Latifi just managed to get his way through, and I think George Russell has kind of shot up the road a little bit there, so it's a very good start from him. As we go down the back straight here, we can see all the cars there. There's a move being made from my teammate up ahead on, I believe that's George Russell actually, but he doesn't quite get the move stuck. As we head through this section now, just trying to stay behind these cars, stay behind Latifi, don't let Mazepin through. We're going through here, and it's all very, very good so far. We duck to the inside there, but we can't quite get up the inside of Latifi, and Mazepin's actually looking around the outside, coming around here, but he hits the curb, he goes a little bit wide, and he can't make the move stick. Out of this corner here, I get a pretty good run, and we try and have a little look at the inside of Latifi, but it's not quite good. I'm really good out of that corner, but then I'm not very good around this next corner. And then this middle of the section here is one of my weaker sections of the track, to be honest. However, you know, I can get good lines through and out of the corners here, but not as good a lines through the corners. So we're still bunkered up behind Latifi here. I'm a little bit disappointed in this first lap. We've only made up 1 position. However, we've got a mega run on Latifi coming down here. We go to the inside. It's pretty fine margins, but we just about managed to get the overtake done on the Canadian. We are up into P20 with Mick Schumacher in front of us. We have a little look to the outside as he's quite defensive into the chicane, but we can't quite do anything yet. Lap 1 down, and we're into P20, but once again we're getting a really good run, really good slipstream of Schumacher in front. We're going to dive to the outside, but George Russell is right there on the outside, and he braked so early, got caught up with the cars in front, that me and Schumacher just had to avoid him, and now we're side by side with Russell. We just about get past him before we get to Eau Rouge, thank God, because this is a terrifying corner to go 2 wide up. It's terrifying just going 1 wide up Eau Rouge. We get past Russell, so we're now up into P19, but that was a scary, scary moment. We have a little look up the inside of Schumacher here, actually get very close up the back of his diffuser there, but we can't quite make an overtake yet, and we've kind of just got to hang back to see what happens. Off the start here at the front of the grid, Lewis Hamilton gets kind of pushed over by his teammate Valtteri Bottas there, the current leader, as Max Verstappen has a great start up into 2nd place. Lando Norris up into 3rd right now as well, and then Lewis Hamilton is actually alongside Charles Leclerc going up a Rouge. They are, ooh, they're pretty much too wide going up there. Bit of a scary moment from Hamilton there, but Leclerc manages to get through. Hamilton's dropped from second all the way to 5th place. However, he's still there along the outside. It's 3 wide going into here with Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren on the inside. Leclerc's got the line at the moment, but they're still 3 wide going all the way through here. They somewhat kind of get in line there. Leclerc's got in front. Hamilton's now alongside Ricciardo, and he's going to try and go round the outside. He's going to try and, well, stick it, keep it round the outside, but Daniel Ricciardo's still there. However, Hamilton's got the inside for the next corner, and Hamilton has just about got that place back, defended that place, should I say, from Hamilton, but he's dropped from 2nd all the way to 5th in the 1st sector, so it's not a great start from Hamilton. As we go on to lap 2 with ours, once again, you can just see how good of a run I have off that corner. We have a very, very big look up the inside of Schumacher into this corner, but yeah, I just can't carry the speed into that corner that the AI can, and it's a pretty terrifying place to overtake, especially when you're that close. So I can't quite do anything yet. As you can see though, we are on the soft tyres. A lot of the other people around us are on the mediums, except for our teammate who's also on the softs. So I've honestly not made as much progress as I was hoping I would here. Considering we're on the soft tyres, we should have been well past Schumacher by this point, but yeah, we just can't quite make the moves. Although, you know, there's a lot of straights and that on this track, it's still quite difficult to overtake in the twisty sections. We, however, go to the outside once again for turn 1. We're hanging around the outside. He's just about keeping on the inside, but then we've just got to get the better run. We do get a bit of a better run going down to Eau Rouge. It is too wide at the moment, but once again, we just about get past him just before we get up to Eau Rouge, and we've got the position on Schumacher. However, he's still right there behind, and he, I believe, will now have DRS and slipstream, and he goes to the outside for the next corner. We're going to just make sure we try and outbrake him here. However, we get our wheel on the curb a little bit. It's a bit of a struggle there as Russell then manages to get up alongside us, but we kind of squeeze him out, make sure we keep the position of Russell. However, we've now got to make all those moves on Schumacher again, as you see here on a replay. We just get our front right caught on the curb a little bit there, and it just kind of twitches the car. I managed to catch it, but yeah, it lets Schumacher back through and also lets Russell through too. Onto the end of lap 3 here, and we're back up to the back of Schumacher. We go for a bit of a sneaky dive up the inside into the chicane, around the outside for the next corner. We've got the position, we've got the tyre advantage, and we're back up into P18. We've got past the Haas and the Williams cars. We're now going to chase down our teammates, and I believe the two, well actually one Alfa Romeo, Giovinazzi, Raikkonen I believe is actually a fair way up the grid. You can see him just ahead of the 2 Alpines up there on the minimap. So onto lap 5 I believe this is. We're just kind of slowly catching our teammate. He's also on the soft tyres, but I mean naturally we are quite a bit quicker than him, and we come onto lap 6 and we have just about caught up to our teammates. I back off a bit here because I do not want to go too wide up here just yet, especially not with my teammate. It's not worth it because we can just get the DRS here and look at the closing speed. DRS and ERS enabled with the slipstream, and we just blitz past our teammate Christian Lundgaard. We're up into P17. We've now got to chase down Giovinazzi, who's quite a way ahead in the Alfa Romeo. We've got a bit of work to do, as on going on to lap 7 this is. Some cars have come into the pits. We're up to, I believe, P11 right now as some cars come in. And yeah, we've just got to keep going. A lot of the cars in front of us starting on, you know, the mediums or maybe even the hards. Now we can see that there's a bit of rain starting to form. So it's possible that we're going to see some rain in this race. We've got a couple of radio messages coming through, so let's see what they are saying.
The track conditions aren't improving. It's your choice as to whether you want to fit the wets next time you come in.
So my race engineer is saying, do we want to fit the wets? Also, Nikita Mazepin retires from the session.
Okay, be careful on those slicks. These conditions are making the line a bit greasy, but we're still nowhere near the changeover point.
However, then my race engineer says, after saying, oh, you know, maybe next time if you want to come in whenever you want, change onto the wet tyres, and then straight after that he says, nah, it's getting a bit slippery, but I think the dries are still good for now. So, okay, I'm not having too much trouble on the dries at the moment, so we're going to stick with it for now. We have got our pit window open up now. My teammate comes into the pits on this lap too. We're coming in for dry tyres though, and I just don't know whether that's the right call at the moment.
dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
So my engineer is still saying that dry is other tyre to go, because I was wondering, what they want us to come in this lap. These softs are definitely on their last legs now, but I don't know if I want to put dries on, because you can clearly see that it is starting to rain a little bit now, but the dries don't seem too bad at the moment, and like my engineer said, it is still dry conditions at the moment, dry tyre conditions. So we're going to come in, we're not going to stretch the soft tyre stint, we're going to hope that either the rain just kind of stays at this point, because there wasn't a lot of rain forecast for this race, it was only a little bit, so we're going to hope that either the rain stays like this, or we're going to have at least a decent stint with these tyres, and then get onto the inters. We come out of the pits side by side with Giovinazzi. I believe we somewhat jumped him. We do go too wide up a Rouge, it was bound to happen eventually, and he does just about get the position, but that means that we now have the slipstream on him going down the straight. We go to the inside, and we're gonna just try and outbrake him into this next corner. He's hanging it around the outside. It's the inside for the next corner, but I'm just keeping it there. I want that position, and we just about get the position on the Italian driver. We're up into P17 now, because there's, I think Latifi ahead has not pit yet. So yeah, I believe we actually jumped Giovinazzi in the pits there, because yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in front of us before we got to that. As we come around this lap, Latifi's coming into the pits. I don't quite realise and smack into the back of him. Luckily we don't have any damage there, but yeah, a little bit scary. He just slowed down so much coming into the pits, and we just slightly tapped into the rear of his car. But it's all good. We're up into P16 now that he's come in for his pit stop.
Alright, we're getting very close to the crossover point now. Stay out if you have the pace, but as soon as you hit the limit, come and put the inters on.
So it tells me that inters are just about ready now.
We're no longer sure that these tyres are the right ones. It might be time to come in and change. The gap to the car ahead is 2.1 seconds. A new strategy is available on the MFD.
So I'm literally going down the back straight here on lap 14. I ask for a weather report. He's like, oh, we're not sure if these tyres are good. He gives me a little bit of other information at the same time, and then literally straight after is like, yep, we're ready, come in for the inters. So we did, I think, about 4 laps on the medium tyres. Looking back on it now, I don't think stretching the soft compound stint would have been the way to go. I think that I should have put on a set of softs, another set of softs. But I mean, I couldn't predict when we'd be coming in exactly, but I probably should have done that. I should have just put on another set of softs. I'm not sure if I had another new set. I probably would have. But either way, just a worn set. We would have been on them for only 4 laps and then come in for the inters. We could have made up a little bit of ground there, but ultimately it's not terrible for us, because pretty much everybody else has done the same thing. They've already come in for 1 stop. Now they're coming in for another one for the inters. So it's not the end of the world. We haven't really lost positions because of it, but I think we could have potentially gained positions, or at least gained a bit of time, if we did that strategy. Now onto the interphase, and we're actually losing a little bit of time to Giovinazzi behind. We got a bit of a gap to him on the dry tyre stint, but now we're on the inters. It's kind of at a point where inters are good at the moment, and I mean that at this point.
We're reaching the point where you're going to start aquaplaning with those tyres. We think you're all right for now, but it might not be long before we switch to the full wets.
Well, I was going to say we're kind of at the point where, yeah, inters are just about good, but as you can see there, radio message, as you can hear there, wets are actually on the cards now. It's getting quite wet, and the team is thinking that maybe wets are the way to go, but for now we're going to stick on the inters. That's what everybody else is doing. Up towards the front, well, Valtteri Bottas is way ahead, as he usually is in this career mode series of ours. Max Verstappen is in second. Hamilton's managed to fight his way back to third after a pretty poor start, but yeah, he can't quite get past Max at the moment, so really needs to start putting the pressure on him. As we go to the next lap, and he's still just stuck behind here. They're about to come up Eau Rouge, but he's not quite close enough yet. Of course, DRS is no longer enabled because of the wet weather. So I mean, he's got the ERS, he's got the slipstream, but so much more difficult to overtake without the DRS, and just generally on these trickier wet conditions. So Hamilton at the moment kind of just having to bunker up behind Hamilton, as we have a lot of rain all over the cameras there. We look on a little battle between Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll, and someone else, and they're having a good little battle there, but no positions really being gained. We're on to lap 20 now of 22. Giovinazzi is definitely a bit quicker than us on this Inters phase. On the dry stage, once we had some clean air, we were quicker than the Alfa Romeos, or at least than Giovinazzi. Raikkonen's a fair way up the road. But now on the intermediate tyres, on quite heavy rain intermediate tyres, to be honest. I mean, like my team said, it's almost getting towards wet tyre conditions. Giovinazzi does seem to have the pace over me, and he's also got Yuki Tsunoda behind him. So we're in P15 right now. We've actually made it back to where we started. Well, not to where we started, where we should have started if we didn't get our grid penalty. And yeah, we're on to the final lap now. This is lap 22, the final lap of the race. And we just have to try and keep the position from Giovinazzi. It's so scary going up Eau Rouge here. I just cannot take the speed in the wet. So I pretty much get to the top and just have to deploy all the ERS that I can. And I mean, I can just dump it now because it's the final lap. We go here, Giovinazzi's having a little bit of a look, but we're just making sure we drive super smooth, super defensive. It is definitely wet now. I think another couple of laps and we could have been onto the wet tyres, because it is probably the wettest we've had so far in a race. I mean, Monaco was pretty wet. France was not that wet, but not this wet. And then yeah, Hungary definitely wasn't this much either. But we come across the line to finish P15. Valtteri Bottas wins once again. There's no real surprise there. I believe we're going to also pick up driver of the day because we've come from 22nd to 15th. But I mean, we technically qualified 15th, so really haven't made any positions. But yeah, it is P15 for us in the Belgian Grand Prix.
Many doubted whether they could pull off the win here at Spa-Francorchamps, but they've done so in spectacular style. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So Valtteri Bottas wins the Belgian Grand Prix once again. He's absolutely dominating this season. He's now won 8 of the 10 races. Max Verstappen actually holds on to second place, so it's a good race from him. Lewis Hamilton in third. Bottas is just walking away with this championship right now. I mean, this is the halfway point of the season, and he's a good way ahead now as we look down the finishing order there. Good one from Lando Norris and Sebastian Vettel in 4th and 5th. So we finished P15 behind Esteban Ocon. Carlos Sainz not having a great race there. Kimi Raikkonen up in P11. That's a good result from him. Christian Lundgaard finishes P19, so it's not too great for him. The order doesn't change a whole lot here. Max Verstappen moves ahead of his teammate Perez into 3rd place, but no real changes towards the back of the order there. Lundgaard's still down in 18th. We're still in 12th place. And if we look at the constructors, once again, nothing's really happened here. Mercedes are walking away with the championship, and Bottas is absolutely walking away with the Drivers' Championship. So anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.